Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon, and welcome to the fourth and final presidential candidate open forum. We're delighted you're here for this very, very important event. And you will have some homework at the end, and I will give you your assignment in just a bit. My name is Thomas Hill, and I'm a member of the ISU Presidential Search Committee. I'm substituting, and some may think a poor substitution, for Dean Luis Gutierrez, who was unable to join us this afternoon. Our fourth and final candidate is our very own Dean Wendy Wintersteen. Dean Wintersteen has a long and distinguished history at Iowa State. She has served in a number of capacities during her tenure, to include student, staff member, assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, mid-level administrator, senior associate dean, and now the endowed dean of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. She currently serves as the most senior dean. Wendy will tell us more about herself in just a few minutes. Now, in following in Luis's pattern of introducing the candidates, I asked Wendy to share a little-known tidbit about herself. I did get this bit of information. Now, I'm going to try. Nobody can do what Luis did, so just bear with me. I'm going to do my absolute very best. In talking to Wendy, she shared a little anecdote with me that was pretty interesting. In 1999, Wendy was a young hotshot professional being sought after by a number of other institutions. She was being heavily pursued by Purdue University for their senior associate dean of the College of Agriculture position. In the process, Purdue made her an offer, and shortly after the offer was made, then President Martin Jiske found out about it. So Martin called her and persuaded her to stay at Iowa State University. Now, those of you who know Martin, I tried to get Wendy to tell me what that conversation was about, but those of you can kind of get some idea. Martin very rarely would discuss things, so I just thought that was that was a pretty interesting conversation, but she wouldn't share that with me. Maybe I'll get that out of her later. Wendy informed Purdue that she had decided to stay at Iowa State, and Martin had convinced her that she had a very bright future here, and she could make some significant contributions to Iowa State. And, that's without saying right now. The next day, though, after Wendy told Purdue that she was going to stay at Iowa State, she actually thought that was the end of it, and everything was okay. Well, the next day, her husband, Robert, was surfing the web, and he came across an article in the Purdue newspaper, and it had a big headline, and it had a picture of Wendy. And it read, "Wintersteen turns down Purdue." And she was mortified. She was horrified. But the story gets a little bit better. After Martin convinced Wendy to stay at Iowa State University, 6 months later, guess what? He took the president position at Purdue. So I will stop there because I don't want to take any more of her time. Without further ado, I would like to have you join me in welcoming Wendy Wintersteen as our fourth presidential candidate.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. That was a great story, Tom, and I appreciate you sharing that. And it reminds me of the campaign slogan that the ISU Foundation has, and it's forever true for Iowa State. And I remain true forever for Iowa State, too. So Thank you so much for coming today. What a great crowd to look out here. We're blessed this week to have the foundation governors in town, and so I thank all the foundation governors that have anything to do with the College of Ag and Life Sciences are here with us, so thank you for joining for this open forum. I'm very honored to be considered for this position. It's a very special opportunity, and it really reflects my love for Iowa State. I really am forever true for Iowa State. Well, I want to start with a little story. 6 years ago, when President Joffrey announced his retirement, it was reported in the Des Moines Register that he had identified 3 viable successors for president. And those individuals were Provost Betsy Hoffman, Ben Allen, who was serving as the president of the University of Northern Iowa, and myself. And I was so honored that Greg Joffrey would mention me and that he would acknowledge what he saw in me in terms of presidential talents and skills. And it certainly resonated with me over the time that I'd worked with him. When we would be out in the state visiting with folks, President Joffrey would often introduce me as the best dean of the College of Agriculture in the nation. And it always helps to have an introduction like that before you go on the stage. So I'd always appreciated his support. But for him to state that I had the potential to succeed him as president was really a strong endorsement and something that I highly, highly valued. And so I decided this time around that it was my turn to lean in, to take advantage of the administrative skills that I've learned over the years and apply them to this position and do the very best job that I could do for Iowa State University. When I think back again to Greg Joffrey, I think what he admired in me was that as a dean of a College of Agriculture, he looked at me as an individual that could manage a set of very complex issues, that every day we were addressing issues that were relevant to Iowa agriculture, and oftentimes relevant to the nation and the world. And so I appreciated again that he recognized those talents. I think he also recognized my success as a fundraiser. And just to tell you a little bit about myself and my success as an administrator to set the stage in this conversation. So since I was named dean, my colleagues and I have raised over $250 million. That's almost $250 million. And that's to support student scholarships. That's to support world-class resources for our faculty and staff and to establish innovative programs. In addition, in that time period, we were able to take the number of donor-funded professorships and chairs and increase them from 21 to 45 positions. But perhaps what I'm most proud of was the joint activity that I undertook with my colleagues in other colleges and in the provost office to recruit our faculty for the very best awards so that we could, in fact, increase the number of faculty in the National Academy. And I'm so pleased to report today that just in the last 5 years, we were able to double the number of faculty in the National Academy from Iowa State. And 6 of those faculty members are faculty that are associated with my college or with the experiment station. And that was a joint activity that made such a big difference in maintaining our membership in the prestigious AAU. So one example of success that we were able to do through our fundraising and through our work together at the university. I would also share with you, during that same time period, we used those funds to build a set of facilities to support our faculty and students in their work. We were so pleased that we were able to build the Hanson Ag Student Learning Center. So many of you have been out there and enjoyed that facility, whether you're a member of the College of Agriculture or anyone from across the university. It's a facility for students, and it was a facility that was built almost entirely with private money. And then we can celebrate the Sukup and Elings Halls. Together with my friends in the College of Engineering, we were able to take state dollars and leverage those with gifts and build an extraordinary facility for our Department of Ag and Biosystems Engineering. And now that department is ranked #1 in the nation And I think that department needs a round of applause. Would you applaud this? In addition, we were incredibly successful in bringing forward the innovative ideas of our faculty and staff to establish programs that made a difference for our students. We established the major, the Global Resource Systems major. And just this past week, Cargill increased the commitment to that program to over $1 million. So this is a program that allows our students to go out and become culturally competent in their studies, not only a technical competence, but be prepared to work anywhere in the world. Another great example of investment in our students is our Ag Entrepreneurship Initiative, an initiative that was started back in 2004 to help our students learn how they could become entrepreneurs. The other day, I visited with Kevin Kimley, who leads that program, and Kevin Kimley told me that he estimated of all the students he's taught since 2008, that more than 400 businesses have been started as a result of the training they've received. 400 businesses, 400 new businesses in Iowa. That's a great accomplishment. And maybe the third program that I'll share with you as an example of innovative programming is our Center for Sustainable Rural Livelihoods. We had a wonderful family that came forward and said that it was the responsibility of the university to engage in addressing the critical issue of hunger and poverty in the world. And they provided a gift that allowed us to establish a program in the poorest part of Uganda, the Kamuli district. And so now, since 2004, we've had our students over there, our faculty over there, working in the primary schools, working with farmers, to learn how agriculture can be part of rural economic development. It's made a tremendous difference for our students, it's transformed their lives, and it's transformed the lives of those members in the community. Another great example of our success is since 2005, we have doubled the contracts and grants that we have in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And my administrative team, led by Senior Associate Dean Joe Coletti, did something very special. What he did is he listened. He listened to our faculty about what they needed to be successful in increasing grants and contracts. And what they told him was they needed more assistance in writing grants. And we figured out a way to help them write more grants with external grant writers. They told us that oftentimes they didn't know what was really needed in a grant proposal. And so we sent those faculty to Washington, D.C., so that they could talk to program leaders and understand how they could be most competitive in their proposal. And finally, what we did was we established an environment, an ecosystem, so that all of our faculty could be successful with grants and contracts, whether it was single investigator grants or it was a multidisciplinary, multi-state grant that was going in for millions of dollars. So another great success. So these successes all add up to make a tremendous difference in how the college's reputation is viewed, how the college's success is viewed. Next, I would just share that the amount of student success that we've seen in the college in that same time period is equally important. We grew our student numbers by almost 90% and maintained a placement rate of 98%. We have the first and second largest career fairs in the nation, and we hold second ranking in the nation for our students that study abroad. But as we grew those students, one of the things we realized is that we needed to pay more attention to how we were working with our multicultural students. So since 2010, we saw an increase in diversity in our college by 83%. And it was in 2013 that we made the decision to hire the first assistant dean of diversity in the university to help us work with our multicultural students. And that assistant dean, Dr. Theresa Cooper, has made a tremendous difference in how we work with our students and how we provide a welcoming and supportive environment in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. In addition, this past year, we went through a process of holding listening sessions for our multicultural students. At these listening sessions, we heard about their experiences. We learned about the problems that they were having. And some of those stories were pretty difficult to listen to. And what we learned in the end was that we did not have a very supportive campus climate for our multicultural students. So as a result of that, we wrote a letter to all the members of the college, and we said, we need to behave in a new way. We need to work together to provide a welcoming and supportive environment for our students. So we are just on the edge of learning what we need to do across campus to change the climate, to make sure that all of our students feel supported, that all of our students feel welcome here at Iowa State University. I think the most important part of my message, as you listen to those accomplishments that I've visited with you about, is that during this time period, we achieved success primarily because we listened and because we learned how we could move forward in a more successful way. Well, Iowa State University is at a very unique and special point in its history. We have had an unprecedented growth in student numbers, and at the same time, we are facing a set of critical challenges. Those challenges include budget constraints. The challenges include faculty and staff that are really burning the candle at both ends. We have staff and faculty that don't understand the many different administrative changes that are occurring at the university. And of course, the issue of campus climate is one that occurs throughout the university. I believe at this point in time, we need somebody that can step in to the presidency and that understands the issue, that is ready to work on day one. I do not believe, given the challenges facing us, that we have time to wait for someone to come in from outside and spend 1 or 2 years learning about the situation, trying to understand the history, trying to understand the context of the situation. I believe that I'm a compelling candidate for president of Iowa State University because I do understand the situation. I understand the challenges we're facing. I know the people on campus that we need to work with, and I truly care about Iowa State University. Well, we have much to be proud of at the university. Our faculty and staff work hard every day, and their accomplishments are many, but I believe through a process of continuous innovation that we can reach a new level of excellence at Iowa State. And this is the question that the search committee has asked each candidate to talk about. What is the next level of excellence for Iowa State, and how do we get there? So through continuous innovation, I believe there are 4 steps that we can proceed with. The first is excellence in a student-centered experience. It's time that we do a much better job of rewarding and recognizing our faculty in the classroom and the important work they do for our students. In addition, it's important that all of our students have an opportunity to access high-impact educational experiences so that they too may achieve their full potential. It's time to build on the very successful retention rates we have at Iowa State and address the issue we have with graduation rates. As we look at graduation rates at Iowa State University, we find that we're not competitive with our peers, that it's time that we take this issue even more serious than we have in the past and make sure that all of our students have the opportunity to graduate from Iowa State University. And when we look at the average graduation rate, we have to realize that the graduation rate for women and minorities is lower than even the average. So creating excellence in a student-centered experience is the first step. The next step is creating excellence in research, innovation, entrepreneurship, and economic development. And we do this through an increased emphasis in research grants and contracts, in new discoveries that bring disclosures and patents. But perhaps the most important way we do this is by building an entrepreneurial culture at Iowa State University. So as we think about the deans at Iowa State University and our hope for the future, we believe there's an opportunity to change how we work with our students so that we prepare them to become entrepreneurs. The third way we move forward is by creating excellence in administrative efficiency. When we think about efficiency at Iowa State University, it's time for us to begin a process at the grassroots to determine what are the processes, the paperwork that is no longer needed. What are the choke points that keep things from moving forward in an efficient and timely manner? Is it lack of staff or lack of communication? Or is it a process that simply is not needed anymore? We have to streamline our administrative functions so that they are truly bringing a high level of quality to the university as a whole. And fourth, we need to have a greater excellence in the campus climate. Students at Iowa State University have to feel welcomed, they have to feel included, they have to feel supported. And the same is true for faculty and staff. Faculty and staff have to be in a collegial environment, an innovative environment, and they have to be supported as well in the work that they do. But perhaps even more important is that we need to look out into the state and realize that our alumni and our stakeholders also want to be part of this community, and that it's time that we become more engaged with them, that we communicate with them about what we're doing, and that they become proud of what we are doing. So how do we accomplish these four goals? I think we begin by this process of saying that we have to create an efficient and productive environment. The other day, I had a faculty member come to me frustrated with the forms that he had to complete to go through a process that was underway in his laboratory. He was very frustrated. And I would promise to you, as the lead administrator of Iowa State, that I would review the processes and the paperwork that we have at this university and make sure that it is streamlined and reviewed so that our faculty and staff can get back to what their core responsibilities are. And their core responsibilities are not about processing paperwork. Their core responsibilities are about teaching, research, and extension. In addition, I would ask all of our department chairs, our deans, our vice president, to take a look at all of their work and evaluate, is a particular process needed in their college? Do they have the right set of structures present? Or is there something that can be pruned away? Is there an old process that is no longer needed to allow the very well functioning of that unit? The next thing that I would do is identify a series of new funding streams for Iowa State University. We've had some great successes over the years, and those funding streams that have helped us so much have often been associated with the work of the ISU Foundation. So as I think about the ISU Foundation and its recent successes, I think about the establishment of a new effort called Foundation Ventures. And Foundation Ventures allowed the gift of $147 million to come to the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And that gift has made all the difference for that college. Foundation Ventures is a new approach, a new innovation at the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and at the foundation. And I think it's time for all of our deans, our foundation officers, to have the opportunity to look at new and innovative approaches in fundraising, to build new partnerships, whether those partnerships are with the government, whether those partnerships are with the private sector, whether those partnerships are global. If we don't successfully build a new set of partnerships, a new way of connecting with each other through fundraising, through contracts and grants, we simply won't have the resources available to be successful. And finally, what I would say is this idea of entrepreneurship is critically important. that it's time to infuse into the curriculum a set of entrepreneurial skills for all of our students, so that when we think about a brand for Iowa State, we could really think about a brand that says across the university, our students are engaged in learning about entrepreneurship. They're ready to go out and be effective in the workplace. They're ready to be effective in their own business. So there's lots of new things we can do to bring the university to the next level. And again, I think a large part of it is by reevaluating our processes, by establishing new and innovative approaches to fundraising, and by becoming more entrepreneurial. But I will tell you that we cannot do any of this alone. We have to do it together as a community. In the vision that I have for Iowa State University, it's a vision of all of us coming together, where everyone is valued, where everybody is listened to, where our processes are open, where we are transparent in how we work together. That is how we come together for a new level at Iowa State University. We cannot do this without the great community that we live in. We are going to be building a world-class facility at Iowa State University, and we need to do it in a world-class community. And working together with the City of Ames, I believe we can accomplish that. So thank you very much. Those are my opening comments, and I'd be glad to take some questions now. Thank you.
Thank you. There are microphones on either side, and just line up. We've heard from Wendy. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very
Please.
much. I'm a 1973 graduate, Iowa State University. I appreciate everything that you said, Dr. Wintersteen, who I know as Wendy. But I'd like to know why it's so important for the people of Iowa, the 3+ million people we have from river to river, border to border, to have a great Iowa State University. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for that question. Well, why is it so important to have a great Iowa State University? Well, every day, Iowa State University, through the work of our faculty, staff, and students, we deliver for Iowa. So we deliver through our teaching program and delivering students that are well prepared for their lives and for a career. Through a set of extraordinary experiences, the students that come to Iowa State have their lives transformed by education. The second way we deliver is through our research, our innovation, our entrepreneurship, and the economic development we do in Iowa. We are ready to go every day to help Iowans be more successful in the work they do through the research and innovation that we do on campus. When I think about going out in the state and talking to businesses, oftentimes the question is, how can Iowa State help me with this problem? And then we look at CIRRUS through the College of Engineering and Extension. Or how does a farmer call up and ask about a problem they might have in their field, and we talk to University Extension and Outreach. Or sometimes it's about a more complex issue of how do we build a sewage treatment plant in a community that only has 60 people. Is there a civil engineer at Iowa State University that can help us with this question? So I think every day, whether it's through our teaching program or through our research and our extension programs, we deliver for Iowa. The problem, though, is that Iowa doesn't know what we're doing. I think over the past decade, we've simply failed to communicate the impact of our work. Iowans forget that we're out there with them every day, trying to assist them in moving forward. And I think it's time that we go back out into the country, go down into Des Moines, go over to Davenport, and we have a conversation with the community about what they need, what are their challenges, what are the opportunities of how we can work together. That's really the key. If we can get engaged with our constituents, get engaged with the taxpayers of Iowa, then we have the opportunity to, as I said earlier, make them proud of what they're doing. And I believe if Iowans are proud of what we're doing, then Iowans are more likely to call the governor and say, Governor, Iowa State University should have a tuition increase. Governor, the state should continue their investment in Iowa State University. So that's how we move forward, and that's why Iowa State's important to this state. But it is a social contract. It's a social contract between the citizens and between the state of Iowa, and we should be proud of that contract, and we should stand up for it every day.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Rios. I'm a freshman from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. And along with 50 other high school graduates, this year we made the jump from Puerto Rico to Iowa. And now I'm realizing it was also a very cold jump here. Anyways, we made Iowa State University, and also your recruiting team, the university that recruited the most Puerto Ricans to the U.S. this year. And that's a title that this university should and I think is very proud of. However, the growing national and state climate toward foreigners is a very hostile one. We have a president who is frequently hostile toward foreigners, who won by almost 10 points in the state, and a district congressman who, as recently as yesterday, called George Soros, a very well-known philanthropist, Satan for promoting immigration. So I know we can't do much to change the climate around us, but we definitely can change the Ames community, where I have personally felt very welcomed. I think this administration has done a great job into including us to this community. However, recent events on social media have shown that there are still negative influences coming in through the cracks and also in real life. As recently as last year, I have a Puerto Rican colleague who was stopped by a police officer for no reason, and when she showed him her ID from the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, he was hesitant to accept it as an official U.S. ID. So my question to you is, what is your agenda to build up on this inclusive dream of Iowa State, which you addressed in your speech, and I am very glad that you did. So my question is, what would be your specific agenda to make this a reality?
Well, first of all, I hope your family is okay in Puerto Rico.
Thanks.
We have had so much concern, and our students certainly around the university are trying to think about how they can be helpful in terms of fundraising. So I hope that.
Yeah, the administration has also helped us plan a fundraising campaign that may definitely come into future, and I'm very glad about it. The response of the university toward this catastrophe in Puerto Rico has been great, and I'm thankful for that, and my family is doing great. Thanks for asking.
But how do we have a more welcoming and inclusive environment? And again, as I said in my short comments, we got behind on this issue at Iowa State University. And we have to all now get re-engaged. We all have to make a commitment that we are going to be part of the solution, that we are going to celebrate each other's differences. It's not about all trying to be the same. It really is about how we welcome other individuals that are different than us, and we recognize that that brings great value to all of us. So every day we need to work on this. As president, I think we need to build on the great work of Reg Stewart, of Martino Harmon, and others at the university, and really put into place some very significant and deep training for our leadership. We've been doing some training in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences to help our leadership understand how we can move forward and help our faculty and students. But this is something that we need to work on every day. I think building the campus climate and building the climate in Ames to be more welcoming is an urgent issue, and it's one that we have to give great thought to, and we have to move forward. I couldn't agree more with your comment, and I would just ask everybody in the audience today to recognize that this is a critical issue for Iowa State University, and to make that commitment to welcome all of our students, regardless of where they are from or what their background is. So thank you for your comment.
Hi, I'm a student here at Iowa State. I wanted to thank you for just speaking on the importance of diversity training as well. But my question, so I was a community advisor in our residence halls for a year, and I'm very saddened to note that over the past week, there's been one suicide alongside 3 suicide attempts. which is kind of an issue. So what would be your thoughts as to how to improve mental health resources and support for students concerning these topics?
Well, first of all, thank you for your leadership on campus and your work with all of our students. This morning at breakfast, we talked about this. Martino Harmon was sharing with me the incidents that have occurred in the past week, tragic incidents. We know that students come to campus and they're faced with so many changes. It can be quite an anxiety-ridden environment, lots of personal issues going on. And I would pledge as president to work very closely with our team through Martino Harmon, through our counseling service, through the Thielen Medical Group to really think what's the next step in that particular area. I think we learn so much if we can raise these issues as you have, and if we can be in the settings to listen, not only to students, but also listen to the individuals that are helping to make a difference on an issue like that. So I think it is a community conversation. I don't think any one person will have the answer, but we have to make it a priority conversation. So thank you.
Well, hello, Dr. Wintersteen, and
Hello.
hello, everyone. I'm going to be respectful. Hello, everybody. I'm familiar with the College of Ag because I am in the College of Ag, and I'm aware that we have a lot of we would have lunches and dinners with conversation, discussing things that happen around the world, even on campus. And I want to know how you seek to essentially expand that to the university and make sure those conversations are happening between not only students and faculty, but between faculty and student, make sure those classrooms are having these type of conversations and make sure this is a safe place for students, because I think that's an issue that we faced, especially last year, that the university atmosphere itself did not feel safe, especially to students of color. So how do you seek to have those conversations continue, not only within the College of Ag, but in the university as a whole?
Yeah, thank you. So these conversations have to be taking place everywhere on campus. So every department should be having conversations about inclusivity and welcoming environment. Every college should be thinking about what they're doing through their student services office to reach out to all of our students, regardless of what their issue might be. We simply have to increase our effort. We have to start to listen, and it's not just listening, but listening is the great first place to begin. I just hope, again, that everyone in this room is hearing this conversation, and if they aren't having listening sessions with their students, if they haven't built in a special program in their orientation class or in some of their classes to talk about diversity and inclusiveness, that today they'll make that pledge to do it, because we absolutely have to move forward with those actions. Again, as I said a moment ago, I think we need to have some very specific training for all of our administrators on campus so that they understand how they can become more culturally competent. And if our administrators understand that, then I think our faculty and staff will start to follow them as well. You lead by example.
Hello, Dean Wintersteen. I have kind of a two-part question. The first, how do you, as potential president, plan to help with the fusion of business and industry with education to help students acquire more real-world skills and help make the transition into the workplace more effective for their careers?
Thank you. So as we think about students having an experience to have more interactions with business and industry so that they can be more prepared when they leave Iowa State University, I think that is an important aspect of our curriculum. So we can look around campus and build on a set of important models. in the College of Engineering, a set of capstone courses, a set of required internships. In many majors across the university, similar examples. When you come to the career fair in the College of Ag and Life Sciences next week, the internship opportunities that are available for our students are significant. So I think it is a partnership with the private sector to make more and more of these opportunities available, and our students desire to have them. I think another area where we can engage is through the ISU Research Park and through Mike Crum's Office of Economic Development and Industry Relationships. How do we make those connections? Companies come to the Research Park really for two purposes. One is to recruit talent to their businesses, and the second is to do research with our faculty. And we think students have the opportunity in both of those goals. So you're the talent, but you can also be part of those research projects. You can be part of those engagements with the industry while you're still a student.
And so how, I know you've done some work with differential tuition with the college, and that's being rolled out across the university. How is that going to affect students' experience with Iowa State as far as the faculty we hire, the talent we recruit, and the quality of our education?
So differential tuition, for those of you in the audience that may not know it, differential tuition is an additional tuition added on to the base tuition for majors that are more expensive to deliver than the average major. So you think about differential tuition at Iowa State. We've had differential tuition in the College of Engineering for about 10 years, in business for a little less than that. And there's a conversation that we should be implementing differential tuition across the sciences as well, and in the College of Design and more majors. What the differential tuition does is it really allows us to maintain the quality that Iowa State is so well known for nationally and globally. Without the differential tuition, we're not able to have the lower faculty-student ratio. We're not able to do the experiential learning that we hope to do with our students. But the differential tuition provides the resources to enhance the curriculum in ways that really maintain the quality of the program. When we actually implemented differential tuition in the sciences and about a number of different programs here this summer of 2017. And recently we went through a process of identifying how that money was spent. And just to give you a couple of examples, in the Department of Animal Science, it enabled us to continue to have a faculty member focused on companion animal nutrition. In the Natural Resource Ecology and Management Department, they were able to renovate their necropsy lab. So these are things that just simply wouldn't be occurring if we weren't able to charge that additional fee. So it's a quality issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Cook, and as a student in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, I really greatly appreciate all of the leadership that you've given us and to helping the college always put students first. So my question to you is, how would you ensure that students are always put first university-wide?
Thank you. So as president, when I think about students, I recognize it's our job number one. So it really is about what we do in the classroom to support our students and what we do outside of the classroom to allow those students to have these high-impact educational experiences. If we aren't carrying out that mission in the most appropriate way, then we're simply not doing our job as a land-grant university. So we have to get busy looking at how we can make those improvements, how we can build the graduation rate, how we can make a difference in taking care of and recognizing our faculty that are in the classroom.
Good afternoon, Dean Wintersteen. Thank you for being with us today. Iowa State has a proud tradition of being a university of the people as a land-grant institution. That fact gave my parents the opportunity to attend this university in the 80s, and it's affording me the opportunity now. However, that opportunity extends beyond this campus. When Extension was developed, it focused around agriculture and mechanization. how does Extension change as it launches into the future so that we continue to be a university of the people, not only for the state of Iowa, but people around the world as well?
Thank you. Well, Extension really has no borders. When we think about the great work we do in Iowa, it extends from that home base and families and agriculture, but it extended on to manufacturing with Cirrus. When we think about the work that we want to do in entrepreneurship, we think about new programs to reach out in areas related to entrepreneurship. We think about the importance of nutrition. We think about how we make sure that individuals that need assistance through the WIC program are connected to our expanded food and nutrition program. There are critical issues in rural Iowa, and today Extension continues to meet those needs through educational programs and through engagement. So it is a valued resource, a critical part of the legacy of Iowa State University. But as we think globally, and we work in countries like we are in Uganda, Extension is another part of our work, because what we're doing again is helping individual families know, first of all, how agriculture can be the basis for rural development, helping individual families know what is the nutrition needed for a child in their first 1,000 days. So I couldn't agree with you more that Extension's reach really has no limit, and it's an important part of what we do. It's an important way that we connect with Iowans throughout the state, the nation, and the world. So thank you.
Wendy, I'd like for you, again, Jeff Johnson, to help us think about when you talked about brand. And again, as we talked this morning, you know, brand is the promise, and you talked about the social contract. I still believe that we're doing a very, very good job here at Iowa State of telling our story. The problem seems to be with our packaging. You know, every unit has its own logo. We just got a new one in athletic added. And so there are times when you don't know when it's coming from Iowa State because of what it looks like. And I think about when I look at places like Notre Dame, places like Michigan, there seems to be something that we're not taking from our own marketing, you know, that we need to understand the role of packaging. Packaging is part of branding. And so even those of us at the Alumni Association would be willing to give up our mark in order to be part of a larger brand for Iowa State, including a logo. So maybe not the most important question, but I think we can talk until we're blue in the face. If the packaging looks like it's coming from somewhere other than Iowa State, when do we know it's coming from Iowa State?
Jeff, thank you for that comment. I couldn't agree with you more. We're at so many different functions, so many different celebrations where Iowa State may be recognized, and oftentimes it's not clear that we are Iowa State University. So I do think it's time. How do we come together? How do we see ourselves as one brand for Iowa State University? And really, how do we do a marketing and public relations plan around that brand? I think if we don't do that, I think if we fail to do that, then we will miss the opportunity as we go forward. We won't be very effective in bringing students to this great university. The citizens of the state won't know what we're doing. We won't have the reputation that we deserve for the great work that we do in research. So I agree completely with your assessment, Jeff.
Hi, Dean Wintersteen. I just want to say thank you for your presentation today, and thank you for all you've done for Iowa State and this community and the state. My name is Sarah Mowry. I work for YSS. We are a local nonprofit that serves 7,000 kids each year through prevention, treatment, and transition services, and our roots are here at Iowa State. Just want to share a few statistics. Every year, nearly 2,000 college students die from alcohol-related incidents. 1 in 6 people will have a substance use disorder over the course of their lifetime. And college campuses are often hostile towards sobriety and recovery, and in fact, VSHA was shut down in part as a result of alcohol consumption. At YSS, we run an adolescent substance abuse treatment program helping kids get sober and on the right track. Our hope and our desire is that those youth will transition from high school to college, and we would love for them to attend Iowa State University. You've gotten some similar questions like this today, so I'll reword mine a little bit, but where do you see opportunities for growth in supporting the recovery community here at Iowa State?
It's very important. When I sat down and looked at the statistics regarding students that were charged with a crime, the amount of connection to alcohol is significant. And so I think we cannot ignore the reality, and we need to work with our student leadership so that we understand, again, what's happening, and that we, again, determine what are the right resources that are needed to help these students. It's a serious issue. We can all think back. I see a number of my similar age colleagues in the audience, and we could tell our own stories about being in school and our own experiences with alcohol. And so we need to take this issue seriously and work together to resolve it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jacob Schrader, and I'm a freshman here from Sioux Center, Iowa. My father has a two-year degree from a technical school to be an electrician. And that degree allowed him to earn enough money to earn far more than his parents and their parents before them. A four-year college is great, and obviously I'm here, but it's not for everybody.
Right.
In my hometown, Dordt College has implemented a two-year trade degree program for students who maybe four-year degrees aren't for them, but that way they can still earn a good education and provide for their children and families. Would Iowa State ever consider implementing trade education here?
Well, great question, and we're really proud of the partnership we have with Dordt, and we're proud of the partnership we have with our community college around the state. And that really is where those programs should be, and they have served Iowans so well. And so I think we'd continue to recognize that certainly there are great opportunities to go to a community college, to go to Dordt in a two-year program like you talked about, and come out prepared for a great career. Not everybody should come to Iowa State University. And so we need to acknowledge that and recognize that and value the partnership that we have for education in this state. And again, we have a great system with our private colleges, with the community colleges around the state. And it's a system, I think, that works pretty well for Iowa.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Solson, one of the Story County supervisors. And I'd like to ask you about collaboration. You talked about a little bit, mentioned the city, but also the county. We have other entities like the DOT here. Can you think of some projects that have been done over the last few years that you liked or that maybe would inspire you to look at other types of collaboration and what they may be?
Great. Well, this may not be the best example, but I know that we collaborate with DOT on purchasing toilet paper. and I think anytime that we can find a way to come together and find an advantage in purchasing, so whether it's with the county, the city, the DOT, whether it's with the other regent universities, we should come together and find that efficiency. So that's a great example of partnership, in my opinion, for that greater efficiency. But there are other great partnerships we have with the community, and that's on shared space that we work together. Recently, Warren Madden helped us figure out how we could look at a bike path that will extend along the south part of campus, and we agreed that the farms down there, the Ag 450 farm and the dairy farm, would provide space for that bike path because we're part of a community, and we want to collaborate on anything that will improve the quality of life for the community that we live in together. So I think every partnership opportunity like that should be evaluated and looked at, and we should do more together for efficiency and just for the greater good of the community.
Thank you.
Please.
So Dean Wintersteen, we have this sticky wicket issue in Iowa called water quality and all the contributing factors to it and all the competing interests. How can you as president, how can the university help us solve this problem?
So water quality. It is a significant issue in Iowa. It's a significant issue in the upper Mississippi Basin, which would include like 9 states. It's an issue that Iowa State University is engaged in every day. It wasn't probably 5 or 6 years ago that Associate Dean John Lawrence led the development of the science team that brought in faculty from the College of Agriculture, from College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, engineering, all came together and developed the science team assessment of what was the situation for water quality in Iowa. And it was that science team's assessment that was the basis for the nutrient reduction strategy that was accepted by the governor and the Secretary of Iowa as a plan for Iowa. It's been a very good plan. And what I can tell you is that there's a team of scientists across these colleges that every day think only about water quality. And it's Matt Helmers in Ag and Biosystems Engineering. It's Tom Eisenhart in Natural Resource Ecology and Management. It's Mike Castellano in Agronomy. It's on, the faculty that are engaged. When we have a major issue like water quality, our faculty have to be on the forefront. They have to be making a difference. In my comment earlier, it's not just about agriculture, but it's about rural communities and having appropriate sewer treatment systems that are affordable but address the water quality issue as well. So we are engaged on this issue in a deep, enduring way, and it's not an issue that will be solved tomorrow, and complex issues are never solved tomorrow. It takes science and innovation, and that's what our faculty do.
I'm Gavin Arnson. I'm a local reporter. I write for a website called Iowa Informer right now. I know that you were involved with talking to the previous university administration about Leopold Center and trying to preserve some funding for that after the state GOP cut funding to it. And so my question is, how do you what will you do to ensure that there's still diversity of agriculture education at Iowa State? You mentioned the Ag Entrepreneurship Program that's, was founded by Bruce Ratstetter, somebody who's in the agribusiness community, and there's a lot of other interests. I know on the Board of Regents, there's a lot of people sitting in this room right now who are hostile towards, this alternative kind of agriculture. And, what can you do to ensure that those interests don't completely dominate the academic options at Iowa State?
So thank you for that question. We lost the funding for the Leopold Center in the last legislative session, and that was terribly unfortunate. The university and other friends of the Leopold Center intervened with the governor, and the governor agreed that he would not close the center. The center has a small endowment, and that allows the center to continue. And we've had the director of the center, Dr. Mark Rasmussen, work with our foundation to develop a plan to raise additional private funds to support the center's activity. And I'm very optimistic about the possibility for private money in that way. But what is important to remember about the Leopold Center is that the intellectual capital for the center is in about 80 faculty that live across the university in departments all over the university. And we still have those faculty. And those faculty are engaged in grants and contracts. They're engaged in work that makes a difference, again, in the sustainability of Iowa agriculture, in the diversification of Iowa agriculture, and in how we build more biodiversity. I have to put a plug in at this point for my favorite project, the Monarch Butterfly Conservation Consortium. So we have to be cognizant of these issues, and we have to work on them together. And I think we do that throughout Iowa State University, and we will always do it. Thank you for the question.
Any other questions? Well, let's, Wendy, any final comments? Well, let's thank Dean Wintersteen for her willingness to be a part of this process. I would also like to recognize Wendy's husband, Robert Wagner. He's in the audience somewhere, and I can't stand up, please, Robert, wherever you are. He's in the back. Let's give him a round of applause for his willingness to be a part as well. I want to thank you the audience for attending. Again, this is extremely important. Your homework. I also want to thank those who joined us online because it was streamed live and the numbers are extremely good, so there's a lot of interest all over the place on this one. I would also remind you of your homework. Please, the evaluations are out there. If you would, we need your input. That's what this is all about. You have done the first part of it, and that's being here. The very critical part is to provide us with your assessment of the candidates, so please take the time to do that. So at this time, it's the hour for us to end this session. And once again, want to thank Wendy and Robert and those who participate. And one last acknowledgement, and that's for those who served on the search committee. Those who are in the audience who served on the search committee, would you just stand for just a second? You've done heavy lifting and done a great job, and I want to recognize you. And our two co-chairs are not here. Where are the evaluations? They're online. Yes. President's Search website. I was going to say something. Co-chair, thank you. I want to recognize the co-chairs, Dan Houston and Dean Luis Gutierrez. They did a magnificent job of putting everything together and making this happen. So, having said that, give them a round. That's good. Thank you once again for coming, and have a good evening.